Colin, what's your reaction to Kaepernick's boycott?
Well, he has a right to protest. That's very American. And I have a right, or coaches have a right, and teammates have a right to disagree with him. You know, the preseason's a job interview. When's the last time in a job interview you brought up politics? I like my quarterbacks laser-focused, borderline obsessed, all about football. I don't want a backup quarterback necessarily, nor does Belichick, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, going political. You know, I'm one of those that wasn't outraged by it. You know, everybody's comparing him to Muhammad Ali, but remember Muhammad Ali, the late, great Muhammad Ali, had all sorts of pushback. Despite being in his prime and a dominant, flamboyant, dynamic star, blackballed. Eventually, Bob Arum struggled to get him in venues. So this idea that Ali spoke out and had a great bump-free life. Ali faced pushback his entire life.
I've heard a lot of people compare this to Muhammad Ali. I want to dismiss that completely out of hand. Muhammad Ali played in an individual sport.
Yes.
His actions only affected Muhammad Ali. His sport based on ticket sales and later on in boxing pay-per-views, things like that. Not in bed with corporate sponsors, boxing isn't. You're a quarterback. You have to lead an entire football team.
Yeah.
It's not, and not everybody in that locker room is comfortable with Colin Kaepernick's political stance. So this is not the same as Muhammad Ali. We're not in the 1960s or even the 1970s. Athletes today, like Colin Kaepernick, make so much money. They have so much wealth and power. The power isn't in gestures. It's in real actions and investment. And this is why I keep going back to LeBron James and his investment in his hometown of Akron, his investment in young black people.
It's real.
That's real. These gestures, misguided. And there's a lot to unpack here because Colin Kaepernick, there is a problem in America. If you look at all the political upheaval we have going on in America and around the globe, there are problems. Colin Kaepernick is not addressing those problems. When he starts talking about police brutality, that is not our issue as African Americans, and I've said this time and time again. I lost a family member to what we believe is police brutality, but that's not the issue in the black community. Mass incarceration is the issue. The destruction of the black family and the family in America, that's the issue. Corporate greed and materialism and hedonism and the destruction of unions and the working class, that's the issue. If he wants to stand on those issues, I'm right there with him. But if you want to fall for this Twitter stuff of police brutality, which the government doesn't promote in any way, it costs them money every time, this is not what they want.
You know, so I'm for activism among athletes, but even Jim Brown did most of it post-career, and again, was in the communities. You know, I think sometimes, you know, I'm for actions, I'm for protests, but understand Muhammad Ali is who we latch on to, and Jim Brown, they've had a great deal of pushback. There are, in some eyes, when you're a quarterback, you're dealing with the shield, an owner, an offensive line, a quarterback coach. There are going to be pushbacks. Football locker rooms, largely in a very short season, are about uniting, not dividing. So when I saw this, my first takeaway was, okay, I'm cool with it. Not everybody's going to agree with it, and it will divide to some degree the locker room.
It's a gesture, and you know what? Gestures are nice. But again, Ali and a lot of the athletes, John Carlos, Tommy Smith back in the 60s, all they could do a lot of times was make gestures.
Right.
That's all the power they had. When you've been given a $100 million contract and you've pocketed 50, 60 million of it, and you have a platform to be a quarterback in the NFL, and you have the issue sitting right there in front of him in East Oakland.
Go beyond just gestures.
Gestures.
Absolutely.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Right.